Hello guys, in this video we are going to talk about the short story entitled The Open Window, written by H. H. Munro, or his pen name is Saki. Guys, first of all, introduction to the author. H. H. Munro was a Scotsman. He wrote under the pen name Osaki. His mother died when he was only 2 years old. His father, who was a police officer in Burma, sent him to England, where he was brought up by his aunts. Munro became a newspaper correspondent and journalist. It is, however, as a short story writer that Munro is remembered. During World War I, he enlisted in the army and was killed in action. Munro is best known for his unsettling and cleverly constructed short stories, often with trick ending. Munro also wrote two novels, The Unbearable Washington and When William Came. So, guys, now introduction to the story. The Open Window by H. H. Munro or Saki is a very well constructed short story with a tricky ending. It appears to be a ghost story, which it is not. It is, in fact, a satire on the popular belief in ghosts and spirits. The central characters are Vera, a 15-year-old girl, and the caller, Mr. Frampton. Discovering that the visitor was a total stranger, Vera planned to frighten him away. She gave him to understand that they were expecting the shooting party to return home, although they had been missing for 3 years. Even their bodies were not found. They were drowned in a bog. Mr. Frampton is horrified to see the party coming. He is sure they are ghosts. He fled in panic. Mr. Frampton falls into Vera's trap. The reader is frightened to think of its effect on Mr. Frampton, who had come here for curing his nervousness. And now, guys, short, brief story or summary of this story. The Open Window. Mr. Frampton Nuttall had some nervous ailment. The doctor advised him to take complete rest without mental excitement or physical exercise. It is ironic that he had to face just the opposite of what the doctor had advised. So, his sister suggested a change of place, a short stay in some rural environment might do him good, but living alone and aloof from others could do him more harm than good. So she gave him a few letters of introduction to her friends in the village. Frampton carried a letter for Mrs. Stapleton. He had been never seen the lady before, nor did he know about her anything definitely. His sister had lived there 4 years ago in the house of the rector. He went to the house of Mrs. Stapleton. He was received by a young girl of 15. Her name was Vera. She made him wait a little till her aunt came downstairs. In the meantime, she engaged him in conversation. She learned she learned soon that Frampton was a total stranger to the place. So she took into her head to play mischief to frighten him. She cooked a story that it was the third anniversary of the disappearance of her aunt's husband and her two brothers. All the three, followed by a dog, had set out to shoot birds in the marshes. They had gone out with their guns through the window. They never came back. Perhaps they had sunk in the marshes. Even their dead bodies could not be recovered. But poor aunt still hoped that they would come back someday. So she kept the room window open till it was dark. Her husband had carried his white waterproof coat over his arm. The aunt's youngest brother was in the habit of teasing her with the song, Bertie, why do you bound? The girl enacted the drama very well. She shuddered and said that the missing persons could all walk in through the window. Just then the aunt entered the room. She apologized for being late. She hoped that Vera had been entertaining him with her talks. She also declared that her husband and the brothers would be returning home soon from shooting. With her muddy feet, they would spoil her home soon from shooting, spoil her carpets. She went on talking about the shooting, the shortage of birds, etc. There is irony here. Mrs. Stapleton is speaking most naturally. Mr. Frampton knows that they are dead, as Vera had told him. Mrs. Stapleton, in unaware of what mischief Vera is playing, so whatever Mrs. Stapleton saying frightens Mr. Nuttall. Mr. Frampton tried to turn the talk on to the topic of his ailment. He could not he could notice that his hostess was looking out of the window. He cursed himself for coming on that tragic anniversary. He began to talk about his own ailments. He had a false notion that the total strangers were always hungry to hear the details of one's ailments, their cause and cure. Then suddenly Mrs. Stapleton became alert. She saw the shooting party returning home. Vera also looked out through the open window with horror in her eyes. Frampton also then looked in the same direction. He saw three figures crossing the lawn and coming towards the window. They carried guns and one of them had a raincoat hung over his shoulders. A tired dog also followed them. Then came a voice. I said, Bertie, why do you bound? Frampton was fully convinced that they were ghosts. He picked up his stick and hat. He bolted out of the room to the front gate. A cyclist on the road ran into the haze to avoid an accident. The uncle asked his wife about the man who had run out. Mrs. Simpleton was surprised at his strange behavior. He had dashed off without bidding goodbye. Again, there is irony here. We know the reason. Vera explained that the visitor was perhaps frightened to see the dog. He had a very bitter experience of a dog who had made him spend the night in a cemetery once. There is irony here. No one knows that Vera is just cooking a tale. She was, after all, a past master in cooking up a tale at short notice. So, guys, this is a story, and you must go through it and enjoy it. Thank you.